right.
Up, right.
Up, right, down.
Up, right, down.
Up, left, right.
Up, left, right.
Down, right, up, left, down, right, down.
down.
Up, right, down, left, down, right.
Up, left, down, right, down, left, down.
No. Up, right, down, left, right.
Up, down.
Wooly, can you take this seriously?
Can you hear me? We don't have much time. You need to...
Louie, where did you go? We're not done playing our game.
Listen to me. You need to destroy these tapes. You need to get out of here before they...
I've got a fun game we can play since I go on adventures every day. Let's try something new, something wild and crazy.
But Amanda, I thought we were...
It's my turn. Shut up.
Okay.
Point to the store, I need a treat for my friend who is dear to me. So let's be quick, no dawdling before this tape ends suddenly. Do you even care? You're wasting my time. Stop being obtuse. The answer's right there. So what, are you blind? Or is something missing? Stop, this isn't fair. It's like you don't... You'll never find me. You would never try to see past the static on the screen. I can't control it, and I just know it doesn't matter what's inside of me. I can't remember ever seen a tape where the plot aligns elegantly. I know there's somewhere running in the nowhere, but you'll never listen to me.
We're vampires?
is Ban Ban. Wait, are we doing this? Are we really doing this? Oh boy, all right. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where today I give up my last shred of dignity and stare into the abyss that is Garten of Banban. In case you missed it, congratulations, you missed it. Garten of Banban is, no joke, the most searched new horror IP on YouTube. But believe me, it wasn't always this way. Upon first release back in January, this game broke the internet, and not in a good way. People got mad, like mad about the phoned-in graphics, the incredibly short first chapter, the basic monster design, and the clear attempt to cash in with a merch page on the main menu of its first installment. It was hailed as the final nail in the mascot horror coffin, the moment that the genre jumped the shark, a cash grab with no thought or care put into it, to which I say, yeah, them and every other mascot horror game out there. I mean, Mob Games announced a movie and made NFTs immediately after the success of Chapter 1, which, mind you, was only a half-hour experience. Hello Neighbor was so busy making TV pilots, books, and spin-offs that they basically forgot they had to build their game beyond an alpha, and Scott was busy releasing a new FNAF game every few months back in the old days, just like we see Garten of Banban doing now. The point is, while these things may be cause for concern, they're also not exactly new for the genre. Which brings us to today, where Garten of Banban has 3 games in 6 months, and it also has bootleg merch for sale at my local North Carolina fair. Obviously, you see your bootleg Poppy Playtime merch. Obviously, there's your Five Nights at Freddy's merch. Fine, okay. But here's the thing that never in a million years would I have suspected to see. Garten of Banban. But for as much as I like to give this franchise a hard time, I actually kind of like it. These games are just dumb fun. It's kind of like the Fast and Furious franchise, just stupid stuff that you can turn your brain off to. Or at least that was my intention. But then Banban had to go and ruin it all.
It's okay to have no friends and be miserable like me.
Y'all,
I
Nab is Ban backwards.
Lore! Yup, Garten of Banban went the full 9 yards and added lore. Lore that is definitely there. I think I said it best in GT Live. If there are sharks to be jumped, I feel like Garten of Banban has jumped all those sharks and continues to find new sharks to proceed and jump over. But shark or no shark, where there is lore, there is MatPat. And so, against my better judgment, I dove deep into the pancreas-chewing storyline of this game to unlock its secrets. And what I found there won't surprise you. No, I didn't misspeak. You heard me right. It won't surprise you. Stop me if you've heard this one. Evil corporation, science experiment gone wrong, inanimate objects come to life, dead kids, playtime facilities that break every OSHA code. Yep, it's like the IKEA instructions for building an indie horror game. So what does Banban do differently to merit its own theory? Well, it takes the insanity meter and cranks it up to 11, then takes the meter, puts it into a blender, grinds it up, and drinks it like a smoothie. Because for as much as I've seen a lot of this stuff before, I've also never seen anything like this before. Wow.
That's what I'm talking
They're
about.
going hard.
Tequila, what do you think about this?
It's not every day that you see the monsters in your mascot horror game taking a casual road trip through a desert alongside a psychic jellyfish and a screeching pink bird. So throw your sanity to the wind, dear theorists. Today we're piecing together the lore of Garten of Banban, and let me tell you, it is something. First, let's just review the basic premise here. In these games, we play as a parent desperately searching an old, empty kindergarten facility for any signs of our missing children. And that's it. That is pretty much as far as we got on the main story. In each installment, we find a single note addressed to mommy left by a nameless child and a girl named Claire, which means that we're pretty safe in assuming that these are our kids, but you know, might not be. Through these letters, we also know that our children are fighting off monsters and that they're ultimately saved by a giant jellyfish. Other than that, bupkis, not a whole lot, which means that we have to make our way deeper into the facility where things are much less Sesame Street and much more back rooms, as twisted versions of the kindergarten's mascots roam the repetitive maze-like halls. But who would have built a facility like this, and more importantly, why? The answer to those questions are hidden in Chapter 2. If you manage to find the red key card, you can actually go back into the building's medical center where a secret door leads to 3 lore notes. Notes that reveal the game's true villain, corporate greed. The first document is addressed to Dr. Uthman, the same name that we actually find on an airplane boarding pass in Chapter 1, Uthman Adam. In it, we learn that the company has been using a mysterious substance known as Givanium to try and bring their mascots to life. Hold on. Creatures that shouldn't be alive but are for inexplicable reasons. Mark that one off on your indie horror bingo card. As other lore notes reveal, Givanium Jivanium is basically a kind of blood alternative that's being injected into giant monster bodies that are made of a Play-Doh-like material. But as you'd expect, this method isn't without its side effects, mainly enlarging both the veins and body of the subject, exactly like we see with one of the designs of the mascots, Jumbo Josh. Side note to this one, kinda love how instead of just making cleaner looking models, they just made the bad textures part of the lore. Euphoric Brothers over here playing 4D chess with game design. And while that side effect ends up being purely cosmetic, we're also told that any creature brought to life with Jivanium is in constant pain, leading to extremely hostile and nervous behavior. Not exactly something that you want for the things that are designed to be looking after young children at a kindergarten all day. Needless to say, Dr. Uthman's experiments haven't been going all that well, and that's a problem when they've promised to unveil their creatures as part of the kindergarten's big Bring a Friend Day. So they decide to push forward, desperately looking for ways to circumvent the violent effects of Jivanium by mixing it with human DNA. Yeah, they skipped the animal trials and just jumped straight into the main event. The hope was that the human genome would allow these creatures to have rational thought and parental instincts towards children, and who better to contribute their DNA than the good doctor himself, Uthman Adam. This experiment would lead to the creation of the one and only Ban Ban. At first glance, he seemed to be quite successful. He wasn't violent and was actually incredibly intelligent thanks to Uthman's DNA. Except, yet again, there was something they didn't account for. Ban Ban was too intelligent. Ban Ban believed that he was human, which meant that when he finally did come into contact with Dr. Uthman, it caused him to go into a deep depression. To try and bring him out of it, they made a female equivalent, Banbalina, using the genomes of the one person that Ban Ban would speak to, Dr. Weverly Mason. But all this did was just make him less cooperative. So overall, things aren't great at the kindergarten there, Bob. In one last-ditch effort to fix the problem, they lower Ban Ban's ability to self-think by dosing him with an updated Jivanium solution, which works a bit too well. Again, the higher levels of Jivanium cause him elevated pain, which turns him into a mindless beast. But of course, Evil Corporation gonna do what Evil Corporation gonna do, and they push onward. Throughout the facility, we find a handful of other case reports where they try various other animal genomes. Spider DNA gives us Nab Nab, snail DNA gives us Slow Celine, and a mix of flamingo and ostrich results in the fan favorite Apila bird. It wasn't until they used wooden spider monkey DNA for the creation of Captain Fiddles to finally struck a winning combination. In fact, Captain Fiddles was deemed so successful that he was passed on to be presented to parents and investors at the big Bring a Friend Day. That day, though, would be the day it all fell apart. The third note that we find in the Red Medical Room describes how the ball pit can't take the weight of all the kids that have registered for that big event, and that this extra weight is likely to cause the ball pit to collapse. Considering that there's no ball pit in the ball pit room of Chapter 1, and the fact that it's all boarded off to the public, I think it's safe to say that that's exactly what happened. I'd also suspect that this is why Uthman had a boarding pass. He was gonna escape before anything bad happened, and he was right to worry. According to a note that we find later in the game, the loud crash of the ball pit collapsing causes all the mascots' primitive instincts to kick in, resulting in them going on the attack. However, amidst all the chaos, there was one creature who didn't become a monster, the one and only giant orange jellyfish, Stinger Flynn. In fact, not only does he stay friendly, thanks to a series of kids' drawings, we know that he actually saves our children from both Ban Ban and Opila. The nice jellyfish is strong. He carried everyone here, but Miss Mason hates him, and I don't know why. Well, don't worry yourself about that one, kiddo, because I know why Miss Mason hates him. Also, can I just say, you have some remarkably good spelling for a kindergartner. If you've played through Garten 3, you'll know that this is no ordinary jellyfish. Stinger Flynn is massive and threatening, but more threatening than his size are the size of his words. This dude talks a lot, and often in very vague, cryptic terms.
I come to this place.
One thing he's not big about, though, is wanting us to get out, to leave our children behind. When we refuse, he turns on us, releasing the evil Ban Ban to kill us. He's able to do this thanks to the unique combination of genomes he's received. You see, Stinger Flynn is the only creation in the kindergarten to have received 2 genomes alongside the Jivanium, human and Atlantic sea nettle. The case studies tell us that this led him to becoming more intelligent than all the other creatures, making him comfortable and aware with what he was. However, he's far from content with his current state.
I already have more than enough subjects to move forward with my aspiration and my ultimate mental refinement.
But what could he possibly mean by mental refinement? And why would Miss Mason hate him for it? Well, elsewhere in Chapter 3, Stinger Flynn describes his level of intelligence as a burden.
Oh, to live the simple life of a completely brainless jellyfish. just munching on shrimp and avoiding getting eaten by turtles all day. You never appreciate how calming it is to have no conscience until you have one.
This is where the children come in. So far, the only human genomes that we've seen used have been fully grown adults. Adults with developed brains. Too much intelligence, too much introspection. But children, I suspect that's exactly what he wants. They're fully sentient, but they're also not all that self-aware. That's why he saved our kids and why Miss Mason doesn't like him. He's planning on using them for experiments of his own, reverting himself back to an immoral, conscienceless creature. However, I have a feeling that that's gonna go horribly wrong for our giant jelly friend. You see, in Stinger Flynn's room, there's a special white door you can get through if you find the correct key card. Inside of it, we get one final update about Givanium and a new development known as a genome cloy. Quote, in short, it was found that when a subject system is overloaded with different genomes, the body will enter a universe in which all but one genome are set to circulate through the body, with the rest all getting disposed of. This reveals the critical necessity of ensuring that each case receives its genomes from no more than 3 sources per donor, lest we're left with cases that are permanently animalistic and wild, with absolutely no place in a kindergarten. The genome that gets preference in a genome cloy event remains to be discovered, but it has been theorized that it is whatever genome is most different from the rest. Basically, what all that tells us is that creatures in this world are limited to 3 genomes mixed together max. More than that, and suddenly you transform into an animal. We know that Stinger Flynn already has himself 3 genomes, Givanium, human, and jellyfish. But if he's planning on using these children to give himself more DNA, it'll create a cloy. And if the theory's correct and similar genomes basically cancel each other out, that leaves behind the most different one. In other words, good old Flynn is gonna end up becoming a mindless jellyfish once again. Stinger Flynn isn't aware of any of this because the tests happened off the record. They were likely done on the creatures down below in the basement that we're likely gonna meet in the next chapter. But just like Stinger Flynn throwing too many genomes together, I'm not done throwing too many theories together. You see, there's still one experiment that I haven't talked about. One who's iconic for this franchise, but strangely absent from all the case reports. The jolly green giant himself, Jumbo Josh. If you look across the game, we have case studies for Banban, Banbalina, Opila, Captain Fiddle, Stinger Flynn, heck, even oddball characters like Slow Celine. But Jumbo Josh is basically an enigma. He's one of the only mascots to show up in every chapter, and yet we know nothing about him. Or so I thought. Once you get the green key card in chapter 3, you can make the long trek backwards to the medical center where there's a secret room filled with characters' faces on the wall. This puzzle is actually incredibly well done, and it hides the game's biggest secret. If you found all the case reports in the chapter, you'll see that certain ones come with a QR code in the corner. Scanning the QR codes get you shadowy images of various character details. Banbalina's bow, Slow Celine's smile, Jumbo Josh's teeth, Banban's horns. But this is a dark image in an indie horror game, my friends. That can only mean one thing: brightening the image to find secret messages. If you do, in each corner you'll see a number hidden in each picture. Click the buttons in order and you open the final door that leads to one last note. Quote, we're very selfish. He was never gonna be normal, and assuming we could even get him out of this place with his size, what was next? What house would he fit in? What school would accept him? I don't even want to imagine the consequences, not to mention how dangerous it is to keep him around those other monstrosities. He plays with them like they're toys, throwing and commanding them around and everything. They're talking about Jumbo Josh, a creature of immense size, strength, and with a grotesque appearance. We also see him throw around the other monsters at the end of chapter 3 like toys. This is also something that we hear about earlier in the chapter. During the Jumbo Josh minigame, Banbalina tells us that he thinks that we're dolls.
That big green guy keeps checking in on us. I think he believes we're some sort of dolls.
But why is this so important? What makes Jumbo Josh so different? Well, the end of the note gives us our best clue. Quote again, sometimes life denies you beautiful gifts, and we should have accepted that. But we're doing the right thing here, and I'm proud of us both. The only time I see language like being denied a beautiful gift, yeah, that's in reference to losing a child. Them not being able to have a child or a child dying prematurely. Either way, these parents lost the most precious thing they had, but they found their second chance through science experiments. That said, they aren't the scientists that we know already, Uthman and Weverly, because in letters from those guys, they talk about Jumbo Josh as the green guy, which doesn't really sound like a loving, desperate parent. Instead, I suspect that these parents might be the ones who started the program in the first place, hiding behind the idea of bringing mascots to life, but their real goal was saving what they lost, bringing their dead child, Josh, back to life. Reincarnated dead kid. Come on, someone's gotta have a bingo at this point, right? But along with that note, there's also an audio file. If you play it, it summons Zulfius, a creepy giant worm thing that appears from the abyss at various points throughout the chapters. Basically, Sackboy crossed with Kingseeker Framped for all you Dark Souls fans. And when we encounter him, we see 2 simple words: I'm sorry. It's my belief that Zulfius is the parent that wrote that note. It's because of their hubris that our children are now missing. Their determination to bring back their child child has now meant the loss of so many others. And that is why all they can do at this point is to say sorry, parent to parent. And I think maybe that's the most unique thing about this game that reuses so many indie horror tropes. A character finally apologizing, finally acknowledging their mistakes and recognizing the wake of destruction that they've left. Am I right? Am I wrong? I guess we just gotta wait like, what, 24 hours before Garten of Banban 4 drops, and then we can see what other sharks they found to jump. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And don't forget that the fun doesn't have to stop here. Why not click the video on the left where you can watch me literally lose my sanity in real time as I play through Chapter 3 of Garten of Banban on GT Live. Let me tell you, it goes way off the rails. Or, you know, if you fancy a little bit more lore, you can always watch me break down the hidden lore inside Amanda the Adventurer. That video is on the right. As always, don't forget to subscribe so you're notified when that inevitable Garten of Banban 4 theory drops, and hey there, friend. Welcome back to the neighborhood. Today we're going on an adventure. But first, we'll need supplies. Let's go to the store. Can you click on the equipment store? That's right. We need to go to the sporting goods store. Today, we're going on a hunting adventure, so we're gonna need to protect ourselves. What weapon should we bring? I think we'll need something a bit bigger than that. That's better. Look at that! We're ready to hunt. Where should we hide? Craft. We can't hide back there. I'm waiting for you in your closet. Sweet dreams. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that regrets the things it had to do to make this video. Tell me the Lord, I won't. Oh no!
Give me another chance.
No!
Please do not forget me.
I'll never forget you, Blabbot! Your sacrifice shall not be in vain, because today we're gonna figure out what's going on with the internet's own version of Dora the Explorer, Amanda the Adventurer. You might remember last year when we theorized about this little game. It was developed as part of a game jam, and as a result was simple in its approach. You put different VHS tapes into VCRs, all acronyms that I'm sure you Zoomers understand. And we answered questions posed by the lead character, Amanda. By feeding her the wrong answers, Amanda would get angrier and more chaotic, eventually losing control and becoming a monster. The internet fell in love with this thing, and since then, it has gone through a major glow up. Gone is the tiny living room, gone is being stuck staring at a TV screen, and gone are all the demonic drawings on the wall.
I wonder if we step further back if we'll see. Oh, whoa! Oh, this is so different. Oh, they went hard on this new update. This is great.
Instead, the full-length version of the game has us in an attic full of clever puzzles and old memorabilia that has a weird habit of appearing behind us when we finish a tape.
Whoa, hey, there's a cake.
But the best thing to come out as part of the full-length version of the game, lore! Not only are there a bunch more tapes to watch through, there are secret tapes and multiple endings to find, and all of them paint a fascinating new story here. So, was my old theory right, or is there more hiding beneath the surface? Insert the tape, press play, and adjust your tracking, my friends. It's time to begin. In this new update, we play as Riley, and that's about all we get to know about that character. Well, that and the fact that they just inherited this house that we're standing in from their deceased aunt, Kate. However, Kate warns us that if we choose to investigate the attic and the tape, the board at the beginning of the game is a letter from a woman named Joanne talking about her missing younger brother. The letter says that he used to watch the Amanda the Adventurer show a bunch as a kid, but would end up in a trance-like state. Eventually, he would disappear without a trace. Joanne then asks Kate to investigate, which seems like an odd request for your local librarian. Then again, if you look around the corkboard, you could start to see why Kate may have been the one picked for the job. We see that she was looking into the kids' school records, something a librarian might have access to. We also see a note that mentions dynakinesis, which is the supernatural ability to create and manipulate energy. She says that you would see sigils if such a transfer occurred, and right next to this note is a torn piece of paper with a bunch of sigils on them. These aren't just any symbols either, these are alchemical symbols that refer to specific elements. Back in the day, alchemists focused on the transmutation of base metals like lead into noble metals like gold. Clearly, Aunt Kate ain't your average librarian. Too bad she's gone now, and it's up to us to figure out what's going on with this missing kid. Or should I say kids? Because it becomes very quickly apparent that this this is not an isolated incident. The tape in the neighborhood shows outlines of kids on both sides of the street. Police chalk outlines that are usually reserved for dead people lying on the pavement. If you manage to find the corrupted version of this exact tape, Amanda's sheep companion Wooly asks if the friends can come back to the neighborhood. Amanda, though, she seems unfazed. Now, all of this alone doesn't prove that Amanda is somehow making a bunch of kids go missing, but I would tell you to pay close attention to the ending credits of that VHS tape. After most of the tapes that we play through, we're met with a credits sequence and ending sting for the company that made the show, Hamlin Entertainment. This is the production company that makes the Amanda the Adventurer show, but their name and their mouse logo immediately reminded me of something.
Follow us to fun. So it's like a Pied Piper situation. Oh, Hamlin! Hamlin! And it's a mouse!
Yes?
If you, like Ash, don't know what's going on, this whole thing's one big reference to the story of the Pied Piper. It's overrun by rats, and there's your logo. And so the town hires the Pied Piper to play his magic pipe to get rid of those rats. And he does exactly that. He plays a song that lures all the rats to him, where he then leads them down to the local river to drown themselves. However, when the town of Hamlin doesn't pay him for his services, he once again uses his pipe. But this time he plays a song that leads all the children out of town. He marches them all over to a local cave where they're never seen again. This story seems to match the idea that the neighborhood is now missing all of Wooly's friends. Amanda is essentially our Pied Piper, and we actually see this firsthand through one of the game's secret tapes that you can unlock. Instead of our usual CGI Amanda and Wooly adventure, we actually get ourselves a home videotape of a girl named Lauren on her birthday. She's sitting there glaring at the TV, transfixed, much like we heard about in that note from Joanne at the beginning of the game. Her parents are trying to get her attention, telling her that they have her favorite ice cream ready, mint chocolate chip, which whose favorite flavor is mint chocolate chip. I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but favorite flavor? Flavor preferences aside, the parents go back up to try and convince Lauren to come down the stairs, but suddenly she's gone, with the front door of the house left wide open. As they run out of the house to look for her, the last thing that we hear is Amanda from the TV saying, "I love mint chocolate chip." Somehow Amanda is able to listen through the TV, and she's somehow lured Lauren, who's literally walked out the door and disappeared just like the children of Hamlin. As you watch more of these secret tapes, we actually get to see a little bit more insight into Hamlin Entertainment and the history of the show. In one of the tapes, we actually meet the creator of the series, Sam Colton, and we hear about how he started the show as a small live-action production after being inspired by his adopted daughter, Rebecca.
Did you even imagine that would be such a big sensation?
Honestly, Sadie, no. It was a total surprise. I mean, it's scrappy at best. You know how it is when you have a big idea and a little budget. But really, it's all Rebecca. As soon as I met my beautiful daughter, the inspiration...
Quote, "We may not have the budget for a big production, but I truly believe there is a soul that transcends that." Anytime an indie horror game mentions the word soul, you know that things are gonna end badly. And sadly, my suspicions were correct. In the VHS tape, Oh No Accidents, there's a flash frame that reveals the credits for a chief neurosurgical expert, which at first glance would make you go, why does a kid's show need that? But Amanda eventually answers that exact question for us in the tape, Everything Rots.
I feel myself rotting, but it feels far away.
If she can feel her own body rotting far away, that means that Amanda has a physical body outside of the show. And who else is that gonna be but the girl that played Amanda in the original live-action production, Rebecca. I suspect that this chief neurosurgical expert has figured out a way to put her mind, her consciousness into the series, literally becoming the soul of the show. She still does have some sort of link to her body, able to feel it rotting, but clearly that's not supposed to exist, as the tape distorts anytime she thinks about it. There is good news though. While her body may be rotting, clearly I was drawing with crayons and asking if we can share secrets. If we say yes, the TV audio effects disappear, and clear as day, she tells us,
I'm out there. Somewhere.
Rebecca is alive. Sure, her body might slowly be atrophying, and her mind might be separated from her body, but there is still time to save her. That said, we're gonna have to face the evil that's up ahead if we hope to do it. What is that evil? Ask yourself this: why would Sam, Rebecca's seemingly loving adopted father, do this to her? Was it just to make the show more popular? Did he need to gather more children to him like the Pied Piper? I know we talk a lot about awful father figures across the various series that we cover on the show, but I was hoping that maybe, just maybe, this one would be a little bit different. Thankfully, it is. The indie horror gods heard my plea with this one because it turns out that Sam isn't the one at fault here. He is no longer the one steering the ship. Yes, Amanda the Adventurer was his live-action production, but he sold it to Hamlin Entertainment. Hamlin is a third party that actually bought out the rights to the show and turned it into an animated adventure.
Last year, Hamlin Entertainment purchased rights to the live-action program starring Colton's daughter Rebecca. As budget and production value increased, Hamlin reimagined the show as an animated series, planning to syndicate the program nationally.
Well, this sounded like everything that Sam wanted on paper. In practice, he started to feel more and more uncomfortable with how the production was being run. In the green tape, we actually listened to a recording session. There, we hear Rebecca saying a handful of what seemed like random phrases.
Rebecca, that was great. Let's move on to the next one.
Pie man, pie man, pie.
What is this? What is she reading? Just a few simple words. This script is specifically tuned to train the technology's dynamic voice reaction. The what? I want this to stop. Sam, why don't you take a walk for a few minutes?
The person directing claims that this is to train the technology's dynamic voice reactions, which is plausible, I suppose, given the rise in AI voices that we see all over the internet. However, this series, Amanda the Adventurer, is set in the early 2000s. Technology was not that advanced back then, so Sam is right to be suspicious of it all. And then Rebecca says this.
No, I don't want to do that.
Rebecca, what's wrong? Who are you talking to?
The man in the headphones.
This ends the session, but listen again to those phrases that Rebecca was saying earlier.
Pie man.
At first, they seem to be phrases that could be used in pretty much any episode. Ba lamb for when they go to the farm, pie man for when they go to a bakery or bake some pies like they do in the first VHS tape. So what's the big deal here? Well, what if I told you that these phrases actually have a secondary meaning? All three of them, Bael, Pie Man, and Ba-Lam, are phonetic ways of pronouncing the names Bael, Paimon, and Balaam, three king demons from the Ars Goetia. Chanting the names of demons has always been part of summoning rituals, especially when you're talking about these sorts of things in pop culture contexts, and that's exactly what Hamlin's trying to do here. Why else would there be a containment specialist that's listed in the credits of the initial Neighborhood video? After chanting the words, Rebecca hears the voice of a man in her headphones, one of these demon kings, all of whom are described as having a hoarse voice. While all of these demons are certainly different, they do share a couple of similarities. They all control large legions of lesser demons. They're all able to inform or give the gift of knowledge. But most importantly, they all require hosts to manifest, and usually this involves children, either as sacrifices or to physically be the host. That is what Hamlin are doing here. They needed Rebecca and the other children to become hosts and sacrifices in order to summon these demon kings and gain their knowledge and power. These children would be led to the slaughter, which is why no matter what location you pick, it always leads you back to the butcher. The eyes on those meat products aren't just a cute aesthetic choice, my friends. Those are past victims, past children that have been led to the chopping block. However, there was one thing that stood in Hamlin's way: Rebecca's father, Sam. I would suspect after this sort of incident, he wanted to pull Rebecca from the show, maybe even find a way to pull the rights entirely. And so, as most of these evil companies tend to do,
It's been 3 weeks since local television producer Sam Colton was reported missing, and authorities still have no leads.
Sam was so happy with the idea that his show could be a bigger success that, much like the fox in the video Everything Rots, he wasn't killed by a knife, he wasn't killed by a gun, he was instead lured in by Hamlin using sweet berries. The sweet lies that would convince him that they would turn his show into something bigger. But instead, it was all a big trap. A trap created by the very people that swore to help him. And then, with Sam out of the picture, Rebecca is all alone. They can get her to sign along the dotted line and do whatever they want with her, trapping her in the Hamlin facility, just like the lonely kitten that Amanda so desperately asks us to help.
Kitten is alone. There is no one to help her. Will you help the lonely kitten? Won't you help the lonely kitten?
kitten? Won't you help the lonely kitten? Won't you help the lonely kitten?
However, unlike silly Mr. Fox, I don't think that this was the end for Sam. I suspect that he's still around, keeping a close eye on things and trying to take them down from the inside. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Sam is the real identity of Wooly. Wooly spends the entirety of the game trying to keep Amanda on track. When she begins to discuss topics that aren't appropriate for a kid's show, like death or rotting, Wooly is very quick to interject. He tries to get Amanda back on the good and wholesome path.
And can die if they don't get enough light or water, or if they get a disease.
Let's go back to our nice picnic. Amanda, nothing is rotten here.
What do you think? Do you think that everything rots?
Of course not, Amanda.
I'm not asking you. Answer my question.
You don't have to answer that.
This strikes me not as the actions of a fellow child, but rather of a parent. We hear a story during one of the secret tapes about how after Sam's disappearance, the show begins to change. It starts to talk about inappropriate subjects. This is not the show that Sam built, and he can see that. Wooly doesn't just play the killjoy either. He's also the one that tries to help Amanda by keeping her calm. When Amanda loses control, the monster comes out, and Wooly knows it. So when she starts to forget things or remember the bad stuff that's happened because of her, he desperately tries to make her happy.
I think Amanda is confused. Here's a secret. It's my birthday. Maybe we can help her out.
Sounds to me like the actions of a concerned father. He knows what Amanda is and what'll happen if the monster's let loose, so he steers Amanda and the player towards positive and happy subjects in order to keep that beast at bay. But the monster and Hamlin are fighting back. In their visit to the farm, Wooly is constantly being silenced. Amanda tells him that sheep don't talk, and as we go through, he begins to baa uncontrollably until he becomes another mindless sheep like all the rest, finally falling in line with Hamlin's plan. It's actually pretty diabolical. You're wanting to turn Rebecca into Amanda, so why not test out that mind transfer ability on someone you don't mind accidentally killing if it goes wrong? Notice that it's only once Wooly becomes a true sheep that we see Amanda asking to help the poor and lonely kitten, the kitten that represents her. Now that Sam is gone, she's truly alone, asking for someone, anyone to help her.
It looks like this kitten is in big trouble. It might die before anyone can help it.
But hey, well, Riley really did luck out just being gifted a house by their aunt. Sadly, we're not all that lucky. We just can't wait around for a property with an attic this large to fall into our laps. Fortunately, you can start saving up today to buy the house of your dreams thanks to today's sponsor, SoFi. Everything costs more these days. Video games, food, that haunted VHS tape of an old nostalgic show. So it's important to get your money management right, and that is where SoFi comes in to help. They're an all-in-one finance app that can help you with just about anything. Banking, loans, investments, anything you'd be able to do with a traditional bank. Steph and I are currently in the process of planning all the trips that we want to take this summer. See our friends out in LA, taking Ollie to see the Mayan temples. We can maybe even visit Tom out in the UK. But all of those flights and Airbnbs are gonna cost a lot of money, especially if we're talking about the peak of summer. But SoFi helped us to figure out where we could save money thanks to their financial planners that you can talk to at no extra cost. That, along with their fantastic app and 7-day-a-week customer service, made it really easy to keep track of our saving goals. Plus, SoFi gives you another helping hand by allowing you to earn up to 4.20% on any savings that you put in. That is a whopping 10 times the national average, which means that in just 5 weeks, you'll be earning more interest than you would in an entire year with other banks. All of that with no account fees and up to $250 when you sign up for direct deposit. And just like the bonus tapes that you find throughout the attic, SoFi has got one more bonus hidden up its sleeve too. SoFi is offering you theorists a chance to win $10,000 if you go down to the description, click the link, and then sign up for a checking and savings account today. And if you want to make it even easier, you can just scan the QR code that you see on screen right now. Don't worry, there's no wrong option here. I'm not gonna go all even Amanda on you. I totally understand why you might be a bit skeptical of online-only banks, especially when deals like this feel too good to be true, but SoFi is legit. It's a nationally chartered bank, which means they're under the same regulations as brick-and-mortar equivalents. So don't hesitate to take advantage of this awesome deal. Just use the QR code or go to the link, sofi.com/gametheory. That's SoFi.com/GAMETHEORY. That is the only way that SoFi is gonna know that you're one of us and that you deserve to be entered in for your shot at winning that $10,000 cash prize. Thanks again to SoFi for sponsoring this video and for helping to change one theorist's life with that $10,000 prize, and honestly to changing all the lives of those people who use them to help manage their money smarter. As always, my friends, remember, a game theory. See you next time.